Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about climate control. We don't have an air conditioner. We don't have a heavy-duty heater for the interior. We don't live in our van. What we do is we camp and travel in cooler climates, whether it's the long length of the best we can get out of spring or the fall. But when it gets to really hot August weather, or when it gets to really cold January, February weather, we don't travel, we don't camp. So for our situation, there's a lot that won't be covered because of that. But I will tell you what we do for those hot days and those cold nights that we do experience in spring and fall and on nicer summer days. So here we go. Aside from all of us trying to park under a shade tree or camp beneath a shade tree, we like to also try to face our van to the west, so as the hot sun is coming around in the late afternoon and evening, that windshield takes that heat. But as I covered in my the last video, we can block that sun really well on that glass. We also always keep our doors open, both this rear set of doors and then the slider, because the air circulation, especially without an air conditioner, is important. Keep that fresh air moving through. And then while the sun's setting on the front of the van, the back of the van is staying cooler because it's shaded from the sun. And of course we have our bug nets and mosquito nets we put in as the evening comes on. But the mornings can be intense with the morning sun that's coming in from the east. So I made this gray screen and this green awning for a lot of purposes, for a lot of reasons, but one of them to be to block that morning sun if need be. They do separate, that can be installed individually for daytime shade in the back if you need it, depending on how you can park. The green overhead awning can do a lot of shading too. And then when you add the gray screen with the green awning, it actually creates the feeling of a larger room inside the van, which is really neat too. But you can get a ton of airflow however you choose to do these. You can see the whole bottom of these. The whole bottom of the gray screen is open underneath the doors, so it still pulls a lot of air through. I do want to put a grommet in the center of that green awning up there, so if it does rain, wherever it pools, I'll pour some water, have Jay pour some water on that awning and see where it pools, and then just put a grommet there so the rain can kind of drip through and down to the ground. But this is another privacy / shade arrangement that I made. The fabric is ripstop fabric from Joann's Fabric, and I just attach them again with the rare earth disc magnets. Holds them like a charm. That fabric is so easy to sew. My sewing skill is 101, and it was actually a pleasure to make them. Super easy. Just have to keep measuring and measuring and measuring, and it turns out just right, hopefully. And I did an in-depth video just on these solar screens, or the sun blocking screens that we made. Super awesome. If you can have your sliding door awning on one side and these on the other side, and your awning on the back and your windshield covered, you can be shaded on all four sides of the van. And then there's shading up on the roof, where we added vent covers to put over our fantastic fans. We added these for a couple of reasons. One reason was the shade, because the sun would really beat down through those clear plastic lids on the fantastic fans, but they also provide a tremendous amount of shade. Jay thinks they look awesome. I don't care for how they look on the outside, but these black covers provide shade because the fan lids themselves are clear blue plastic, and a lot of sun comes through those. So these black exterior covers provide shade inside the van. They also provide UV protection on those fan lids that can be kind of delicate. in our elevation. We're at over 5,000 feet where we live. They also protect the fan lids from hail, and they make it so that we can use these fantastic fans in the rain, or just open the vents, in the lids to the fans in the rain. Those covers provide all that protection, so it's worth the trade-off to me. And while I'm talking about the fans, another great addition for climate control, the fans are reversible, so one fan can pull cool air in and the other fan pushes the hot air out and circulates the air. It's really, really, really awesome. Okay, speaking of fans, I love these little suckers. They're USB rechargeable fans, so you don't have to have a cord to them. And then you can take the big clip and clip them anywhere you want them. They turn 360 right to left, and they turn forward and backwards 360 and everywhere in between. And these little fans have quite a good little breeze to them, as you can see them blowing on the ivy here. And they have 3 settings. They have low, medium, high, and then they also have a 4th setting you'll see here in a second, which is economy, which saves the battery. And they don't take long to charge, and they last a long time. And also, it shows you how much charge you have left. You'll see when I turn this one down, I'll change the speeds on the bottom row, and then the top rows, they're upside down, 30% charge left, or 60 or 100% charge left. And it takes 2 kinds of charging USB cords. So these little suckers are nice because you can blow them on the dogs, you can blow them on yourself, you can just move them any direction you want to move them, clip them anywhere. So they're awesome. This is the box in case you're interested. These are the ones we bought, and we loved them. We bought them in the white. Okay, first things first for our winter half of this video, the windows. We chose a passenger van because we wanted the views. We looked at a Born Free, and what was the other one that had all the windows around the back of it, Jay? The RV, the Born Free, and the
Lazy Days.
The Lazy Days had these big, gorgeous windows across the entire back of the rig. No rear exit doors, which we love our rear doors, so we can get in and out 2 different ways. But anyway, we wanted a passenger van because we fell in love with all those great big windows, but not the price tag and the 1 and 2 year out ordering times that are on those vehicles right now because of the pandemic. But anyway, let's get these windows covered because they do bring in the cold when it's cold outside. So I homemade these thermal window panels. They're pressure fit and they keep the van warm. That's all I can say about them. The Reflectix that's on the inside of them is where the magic is, and then you decorate the outsides. I have black felt towards the glass and the Campy curtain fabric facing in to make it brighter on the inside. You had little clips on the top that hold them into place, but other than that, they just stay in the windows by themselves, and they are warm. They really hold the cold out. I probably bought these at Walmart. These are the plastic gutter clips for Christmas lights, and you can see they come in 2 pieces at the top, and then at the bottom the 2 pieces are separated. I use the piece on the right, and these are what I use at the top of my thermal panels to, even though they pressure fit, it helps hold them in place. And then you can see how if you turn them sideways against the glass, put them up over the headliner and give them a twist, and they make a perfect little clip. The most time-consuming part of baking your thermal window panels is cutting out the templates to trace on your fabric, your Reflectix, which is the thermal inside of the panels, and your fabric. Once you get your templates cut out, then it goes a lot quicker. Just be ready, because it is a lot of work cutting out 8 templates, and I don't think, except for the 2 rear windows, I don't think any of the other 8 windows are the same size. So you're going to need 8 cardboard templates. Woo, it's a bear. But then what I did was, after I cut out the templates, I was able to trace out my fabric, my black felt, and my Reflectix. Actually, we didn't use the brand Reflectix. The brand we used was U.S. Energy Products Insulation Shield, which we got on Amazon. All of those windows are 24 inches tall, and miraculously, that's the height of this. You can see the silver foil layer in between the fabric and the black felt. Anyway, the shield is 24 inches tall, and that's how tall all 8 of the windows are, and oh boy, was that a relief. So I bought it in a 24-inch high by 25-foot long roll, and that was a little bit more than I needed to do all 8 of the back windows. I didn't do the windshield or the driver passenger for a reason that I'll get to in a little while, but I got some 3M spray, and after I cut out all my pieces, I sprayed the foil, laid the fabric on, and pressed it on. Sprayed the other side of the foil insulation, pressed the felt on, the black felt, and then let it set. It's a really strong water vapor barrier, and it's double-sided. It has like a foam core, and it's non-toxic, and it won't irritate your skin or your eyes or your throat. So it's a safe foil insulation, and I just can't stress how wonderful these have been. It's like putting a warm blanket on the windows. And then I just hot glue gunned some 2-inch fabric ribbon around the edges, because I couldn't fit the thickness of the window panels under the presser foot of my sewing machine, and it worked out beautifully. In addition to the window panels, the thermal window panels, we also have a thermal blackout curtain that's behind the 2 front seats. That keeps cold or hot up in the cab and helps regulate the temperature back in the living area, the sleeping area. And here you can see the other sides of the thermal curtains are black, so the black is facing in the cab, which also makes an awesome optical illusion. If somebody looks in the van, they see the seats and the steering wheel like any vehicle, and then it's just blackness. And I did take a Sharpie and blacked out those magnetic snaps that I installed down the curtain so we could get through it easily. These are 2 84-inch tall panels. I did cut them so that they would string onto a pressure shower curtain rod that you can barely see that the bottom curtains are strung onto, and then pressure fit in between above the seat belt holders. And then the parts that I cut off the bottom, I just went ahead and strung those onto a window curtain rod, and I weaved those into the overhead compartments above the driver and passenger seat, so they're on a separate curtain rod, because sometimes we use them up there, sometimes we just use the main ones that go down to the floor. So there's 2 rods and 2 sets of thermal blackouts. And in all our research, we did choose a passenger van because of the insulation for the passengers that it has. On that ceiling above the headliner, there's about 3 or so inches of dead airspace. And in that airspace up there, there's about 3/4 of an inch of a foam insulation board, which helps to keep the cool or the heat in. I will say the coldest part of this van is the floor. And so we laid down horse stall mats. They do help insulate, but on really cold weather, I would suggest laying a rug down there just because it makes it warmer and cozier. A lot of van builders go to great lengths to insulate everything, and we're a little bit jealous of that, but we're not living in ours, and we're just fair weather campers and travelers. But I've seen people even install floor heating coils to keep their floors warm. It's insane. It's awesome. I mean, more power to them. But for our build, this is what we chose to do. Both of our cabinets and our beds are open air, which means there's a lot of airflow in and out of those areas so that you don't get a really cold area beneath the beds, for instance, which causes condensation under the mattresses, which causes mold. So this picture shows we have a 2-inch gap underneath the length of our benches, and these ends are open. We did put a little grate on the ends of these little decorative grates on the ends, but all along the floor they both have 2 inches. We have slats on the top of the benches for air to flow, and also on the ends of the benches there's opening, especially where that air conditioning unit is in the rear. So we get a lot of airflow through everything to help keep all the compartments pretty much the same temperature. And for our fair weather heating needs, when we're somewhere we have power, we use this little space heater. We sat and had lunch in the van one day this winter. It was 23 degrees outside, and we ran this little space heater, and it was we sat out there for 2 hours. Jay took a nap and I played on the computer, and it started snowing about 2/3 of the way through, and inside that van was downright cozy. So this space heater, if you have power wherever you are, it worked really well for us down to 23 degrees. This one's nice because not only does it oscillate, but it has high and low settings, and it has a thermostat, so you can set it for 70 degrees, and when it reaches that, it'll kick off. We put it on the floor because, of course, heat rises, and my goodness, this little sucker kept us really comfortable. But if we're somewhere where we don't have power, then we did buy a Mr. Buddy propane heater. I have no comments on that because, honestly, we've never used it, and I don't know that we ever will. So I know condensation is an issue with the Mr. Buddies. We have the fans, I think they said setting 4 out, setting 4 blowing in and setting 4 pulling out will keep the condensation off of everything, but I can't testify to that because, like I said, we've never used it. And also you can use your single burner propane cooktop, or you just for little periods of time with oxygen, and you can also just turn the van on for 5 or 10 minutes and let it run, get it all toasty, and turn it off. And consider the sleeping bags that you buy. Ours are good to 20 degrees. You want to have nice warm bedding for any pets that you have with you. Not sure if I mentioned you can just turn the van on and run it for a while if the temperature outside isn't too cold, and just heat it up in there real nice. That's another reason we bought the Passenger, because we have dual AC and heat, and that helps keep the entire length of the van comfortable. We do have shore power we had put in at a body shop. Took them like a couple hours. Don't forget your 30 or 50 amp adapters. And your wheel wells. Insulate your wheel wells. That's where a lot of the sound, if you sleep in a truck stop, or you sleep in a, we haven't done it yet, but a Walmart, but wherever there is maybe people walking down the street, if you're stealth camping on a trip, all the sound most of the sound is going to come in through your wheel wells, so make sure you insulate those with kill mat or something and help insulate those too. If it's winter time or cold weather, when you park at night, park your windshield towards the east, so when that sun comes up in the morning, it'll automatically start warming up your whole van. Pull open those thermal blackout curtains that you have behind your cab, and let that nice east-facing warmth come in your windows. Also, if you're in a storm and you want to park and sit, maybe you're in, 50-mile-an-hour winds in Kansas somewhere and you just want to sit for a couple of hours, eat and whatever, point your nose into those winds, because it's no different than going 50 miles an hour down the highway. You can do 80 miles an hour down the highway. So if you're sitting in 80-mile-an-hour winds and it's hitting you broadside, you could, I don't know if it would flip you or not. These vans are heavy, but if you point your nose into the wind, into the storm, that will help keep everything safe. A blanket for the back door. Haven't put one up yet. I have a wool blanket I bought to hang over the back doors for cold weather. That the back doors, I hear, are pretty drafty. Let's see what else. And I think that covers everything. I know you guys have a lot of comments, but we just want to stay comfortable, safe, happy, warm, cool, whatever the requirement is. I'm sure there's a lot of things that others do that I haven't touched on or that we didn't do. But just sharing what we learned and what we did, and we hope there's some things in this video that helps you guys plan your build or add to modifications for your climate control. P.S. I forgot to talk about tinted windows. They really, really are another important addition to your features for keeping your climate comfortable. In the wintertime, tinted windows lets warmth in, and in the summertime, tinted windows block the sun. And you can go read that research, but it is absolutely true that tinted glass warms you in the winter and cools you in the summer. Our van came with a factory tint. If it didn't, we would have absolutely done a ceramic window tint on our back windows. We did one on the driver and passenger windows, as dark as was legally possible. We went for a couple of months with no tint on those windows in the summer, and the day we picked it up driving home, we could immediately tell that it was much cooler having the window tint on the driver passenger windows. So window tint is key as well.